there is a creature alive today who has survived millions of years of evolution without change, without passion, and without logic. It lives to kill. A mindless, eating machine. It will attack and devour anything. It is as if God created the devil and gave him jaws. From the best-selling novel, Jaws. Rated PG. Maybe too intense for younger children.
Years ago, a film was released that changed cinema forever. It made a household name of its director. It ushered in the Blockbuster era, earned unprecedented money for the studio, and sparked a global fear of the ocean that still lingers. But more personally, it had a profound impact on many children of Generation X, myself included. It's 1983. Little Trev is toddling around the front room of the family house, playing with toys and weaving in and out of the lives of his three older brothers, all of whom have just settled down to watch a movie on TV. The clunky, top-loading VHS player is set, ready to record. I was in the latter half of my third year, and even then, thanks to my brothers, I was already aware of films. Home video was a big deal in our house, and although I usually dipped in and out of whatever was on screen, something changed on this particular day. In fact, on that day, everything changed. The movie was Jaws, a film my brothers were clearly excited about. The paperback novel had been floating around the house for a while with that strange but terrifying image on the cover. Pale great white shark lunging towards an unsuspected swimmer. It haunted me even before I'd even seen a single frame of the film. But from the moment that the film began, I was hooked. Chrissy Watkins' violent and mysterious death shook me. We didn't see the attacker, we only heard her screams, saw her thrashing about through the water. My young mind could only imagine that monstrous creature from the book cover, all teeth and shadow. My heart was racing. There came a brief moment to catch my breath as the story eased into the sleepy seaside setting of Amity Island, where we meet our unlikely hero, Chief Brody. But it wasn't long before another death struck, that of the young Alex Kintner, a child. The chaos, the fins, the blood, the panic, and the gut-wrenching image of his mother, panicked at the edge of the ocean. Then there was the horrific attack on the 4th of July, a leg floating to the bottom. And then somewhere the film shifted. It became a different kind of story, an adventure. 3 men on a boat, bickering, bonding, drinking, hunting. The tone turned to excitement, with rousing seafaring music as the chase began. But the fear wasn't over. Thanks to a pre-warning from my brothers, I was hiding behind the sofa when Quint met his grisly end. Only to leap off of the sofa with joy moments later as Brody delivered that final perfect shot. Smile, you son of a... Jaws swept me up completely, and that VHS tape became the most prized and most played possession in the Lewis household. My brothers played it, but no one loved it and played it more than I did. I was instantly obsessed. From that day on, I would watch Jaws over and over on a daily basis. I learned every line. I knew every musical cue. To this day, I can still remember exactly where each advert break on that tape was. And now, somehow, Jaws is 50 years old. A massive and frankly unsettling milestone, especially for a film that's only 4 years older than me. So, of course, I had to mark the occasion, but how do I do a Jaws episode without sounding like every other podcast out there? How do I honour the film without retelling what's already one of the most famous behind-the-scenes stories in Hollywood history? Well, I started by calling Carl, or as I like to call him, my Jaws friend.
He built man-eating alligators, which ended up decades later as exhibits in the workshop.
I'm recording from my laptop, checking levels and the like, as Carl is flicking through some of my Jaws literature, which I've brought along to help guide our conversation. And who is this?
This is Matty Jr.
Oh, Matty, that's who done the shark. Bob Matty.
It is Bob Matty. You ask Bob Matty what time it is, and he'll tell you how to build a watch, said Joe Alves.
And Joe Alves directed Jaws 3 as well, Carl.
Oh, yeah. Oberman was killed in the park. The mother is in the park. And that was in 3D.
In 3D? I watched it in 3D not long ago, Carl, actually.
I watched it in 3D, and the best part about it was at the end when the teeth flew out at you.
Yeah.
You know, and the shark's head blows up, and they pull that yellow grenade, don't they?
Yeah, where did you watch it in 3D?
At home.
Yeah?
Yeah, with the glasses. They came with the
in
video.
the blue and red?
Yeah, those little
yeah.
cardboard ones that you just sit on your nostril.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just watched it in 3D just recently, and the 3D conversion was awful. It's the worst 3D film I own, other than Piranha 3D.
Yeah.
Which was a real shame, because I was looking forward to watching Jaws 3. Carl, like me, was shaped by this film in ways that are hard to put into words. Together we've been to the cinema to watch this film on the big screen, an affirmative tick on both of our bucket lists. And so I thought that a conversation with Carl about everything Jaws would be the perfect inroad for this special celebratory episode. We talk about the strange and lasting grip Jaws has had on us since childhood, the moments burned into memory, the VHS rewatches, the way it infected our imaginations, and even the way we saw the sea. But in between that conversation, you'll also hear some short interludes that I've put together, exploring parts of the Jaws legacy that don't always get as much airtime. From the real villain of the piece, spoiler, it's not the shark, to Spielberg's uneasy relationship with Hitchcock, to how Jaws became a generational touchstone for those of us growing up in the VHS era, and how, weirdly, the merch is only just catching up with the impact. It's a slightly different structure, but one I hope strikes the right balance between nostalgia, analysis, and celebration. Because Jaws wasn't just a great movie. It was a moment in history. I'm here with my good friend Carl, and he's my Jaws friend, basically.
We do Jaws things together.
We met at work. And on day one, I done a random Jaws quote, just because that's what I do constantly, all day, every day. And Carl came back with the reply to the quote.
Yeah.
And I was like, no one's ever done that before. No one ever knew, the real lines, just the little lines of Jaws. Because when we quote Jaws, it's not like...
everyone knows that you're going to need a bigger boat. And, the greats. But, all the little sort of snippets and... Yeah, just
snippets and pippets.
Pippet. Which, I don't know, I recently learned that I don't think Pippet actually died. He might be on the bridge when Chief Brody jumps the bridge to go to the pond. If you can kind of like pause it around there.
It's that,
and there is a black Labrador lying down on the bridge, so I'm hoping that was Pippet.
He might have been dragged out of the sea just recently.
It might have been, you never know.
Because that was going to be, if we did a quiz, that was going to be my question.
Oh, was it?
Was going to be.
You'd have to put it in.
No, I was going to say, Chrissy Watkins was the first victim. Because I remember on the 25th anniversary, they released a video and it said on the top of the cover, she was the first.
Yeah.
Over Chrissy Watkins. So I thought, if she was the first, who was the second?
Yes.
And everyone would say...
The little Kittner boy.
Alex Kittner.
Yeah.
But I was all
and he was pruning like hell.
Yeah, he was pruning.
He was pruning up hell. I can't believe his mum let him go back in, to be honest, with pruning like that.
No, it's no wonder it attracted the sharks.
Exactly.
Sharks love prunes.
Yeah, almost like it's almost like a delicacy for him. And she knew that.
But of course, he wasn't the second. It was Pippet the dog. But now it might not be. So that's a conspiracy.
Yeah. So where you getting where you was going?
Where I was going.
Yeah. So it might be worth. I might be wrong. It might be his brother. You just don't know. But I'd like to think it was him, and he did get his bit of wood and get out.
Yeah.
Bless him.
He's not much of a meal for a shark, is it? Really, especially at that size.
It's quite hairy, really. Would that get stuck in his gills?
Yeah, it would have.
Irritate? I don't know. I wouldn't like it.
No. So this is going to be a Jaws episode, and I've always wanted to do a Jaws episode, but when I listen to other podcasts, I listen to quite a lot of film podcasts, and I always enjoy them. You know, some of my favourite podcasts. But whenever they've done an episode on Jaws, it just basically becomes an episode where they're just regurgitating all the same information, the story, the shark didn't work, and to me, because I knew the story so well, I never enjoyed the Jaws episodes, and I always wanted to. So I thought, I don't want to do a Jaws episode because I've got nothing new to bring to the table. But it is the 50th anniversary, and I just thought, I do want to do something about Jaws. How can I make this different? So I thought, I'll invite my good friend Carl here.
Yeah.
We can discuss Jaws. I've got loads of books on Jaws scattered about, so we're going to have a look through those. I've got a brochure here for a programme here for a play that we went to watch recently together, written by Ian Shaw, Robert Shaw's son, called The Shark. The Shark is Broken. So we can discuss that. We've got, plenty to get on with. Yeah. But just Jaws, really, as it was the film that made me love films. Yeah. And that's the impact it's had on my life. Yeah. How was it,
It's a film that's always stayed with me. Like, I constantly go back, year in, year out, constantly go back to that film. Yeah. And I can't think of another film that has done that with me. No. So it just goes to show that, it does stand the test of time, that film. Yeah, it's brilliant. I can't get enough of it. I, again, watched it a couple of nights ago, and I sit there and recite the lines to my wife that Julie ignores me, which annoys me a little bit, but so I love it. Love the film. Yeah.
When we were kids, we used to watch Jaws religiously. It was like one of 3 films that I had, and it was the one that got watched the most. Another film we had was Raiders of the Lost Ark and Superman. We had those on video, VHS, taped off the telly. Yeah. And Star Wars. But when we were kids, once we found this old boat, tiny little sort of boat. It was just this little blue, like resin boat, sort of.
Yeah, fiberglass.
Fiberglass boat.
I get you.
And it had a white rim, like around the top, and then at the bottom it was blue, and it had a dorsal fin. Yeah. And then a tail.
Like the rudder, fin. Would that have been the rudder? Yeah.
And it was just all one piece, but you turned it over. And to an 8-year-old kid, when we found it, it was already turned over, and we looked, and it looked like a shark.
Was it in the shape of a killer shark?
It was in the shape of a killer
shark. I like it.
It was. Yeah. And we used to play that all the time. And my mum and dad's house, the garden, you have to go up some steps to get into the front door, and those steps were always the back of the orca, and then we had a little ledge that went from the back door around to the alleyway. Brilliant. And we could crawl around that, like hanging onto the windowsills. Yeah. That was the side of the boat.
Would your foot slide off and make a squeak?
Oh yeah, you had to go.
Get your rubbers on.
It was amazing. Yeah. When we played that over and over again, when we wasn't watching Jaws,
it was in your mind.
Jaws.
Yeah, it was always in your mind. Or you would pretend like jumping on your bed because the floor was water and it had Jaws in it, so you had to quickly jump on your bed before you got your legs like. Yeah,
and whenever I go in a swimming pool, I know everyone says this, but you're always. I love playing Jaws, and now when we got kids as well, they'll in the shallows, and I'll just be crawling around like pretending I'm the shark. I'm gonna get them, and then. But when I'm on a boat, it's always. In my head, like when we went fishing last year, wasn't it? Just Jaws quotes the whole time.
It was. A few songs as well, I believe. Yeah. But that was good.
It has been. We made a film together, didn't we? Yeah. A few years back, with me and a load of mates, us two. I got you and my mate Gareth to act in it.
That's right.
As the main people, and Nath, who I used to do the podcast with, who started in the podcast, he was in it.
Yeah, that was good fun.
A bit of a road movie called Need for Weed, and there's a scene in there where they're travelling along. Quoting Jaws quotes.
Film quotes sound good, I'll start. The way show him, unbuckle me.
I don't know, Pinocchio?
Pinocchio?
It's a puppet, it's got wires.
It's Jaws. Where is Jaws? Right, okay, I've got one. I'm not gonna stand here. See that thing cut open? See that little kid in the boy spill all over the dock?
That's Jaws again, isn't it?
Yeah.
God, we used to watch that over and over when we were kids.
We still do. Okay, I'm up. You yell barracuda, people say, huh? What? You yell shark, we're gonna panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
For Christ's sake, you two.
It's a film, isn't it?
It's name the film quote, not name the bloody Jaws quote. It's going to get really boring really quickly if you guys keep up this Jaws routine.
Alright, okay, I've got one.
And it's definitely not Jaws.
Definitely not.
You're sure?
I promise, I swear on your life.
On my... Good, that's reassuring. Go on then.
Okay. She's got tits like a sparrow.
That's Jaws too, isn't
And
it?
it's not Jaws.
Game over, that's it, game over.
And then didn't we end the film on the song as well, didn't we? With Show me the way to go home. And it was a nice ending to the film.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Just
Yeah,
pinched from Jaws, or a homage to Jaws, or just
homage is better. Yeah,
but just
definitely.
because Jaws is everything.
It is.
In every film I've written, there's a line from Jaws, I think.
Yeah, and I like the fact that over the years you still find out little bit like new information about it. There's always like, oh bloody hell, no way, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
There's loads of stuff.
little tidbits.
Yeah,
Little,
and like going back to the play that we went and watched, like that was mind blowing. Yeah, best about hour and a half, 90 minutes. I
it
think
wasn't
it
a
was.
long play, was it?
But if no, it seemed to go really, like just flowed.
It flew past, flawed.
It flowed.
But that was the best play that I've seen, and probably because of just how obsessed I am with Jaws.
Yeah.
But
the acting,
I came
like,
out of there
three
just
of them.
thinking, it was, he was impeccable, wasn't he?
Yeah.
You just was convinced he was watching Richard Dreyfuss.
The way they-
Maybe not at first. It was like, are they? But as soon as they started acting, you just
you believed
he
every
was there.
second.
It was amazing.
Yeah, brilliant play.
And
if you ever get the chance.
It's just about the three of them, the three main cast of Jaws, and they're just in between takes, sat on the orca.
Yeah, when they
Just to have
couldn't
that
shoot,
set
like
of the
if
orca,
the weather was too bad or there was boats in the background, so they'd just spend hours on that boat, mainly getting drunk.
Robert Shaw was.
Yeah,
And that's why it's interesting, because it's written from his son's perspective.
yeah, the
And
booze
his
side
son
of it.
obviously knew that he'd lost his dad to alcoholism, and it was poignant to watch it from that perspective as well, wasn't
Yeah.
it? So that gave the play even more relevance, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's something for the enthusiast, but it was a very personal play to him as well.
Yeah, it must have been hard to play his dad's role.
Yeah.
And
the things the things that he's saying as Robert Shaw, with all the right intentions, but knowing the outcome that it never. You never actually got there.
Yeah, fascinating play.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Brilliant.
It was really good.
Yeah.
A couple of the books I've got here, I'll tell you now. One is The Jaws Log by Carl Gottlieb. And Carl Gottlieb, if you don't know, he was Meadows in Jaws, but he also was taken on solely, really, as the script editor. He wrote himself out, basically, of the script. He's quite a meaty role. In the book, he's quite a meaty role.
Yeah.
But in this, he's like, you really don't need this character.
No way.
So he just wrote himself less and less lines.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So was he an actor or was he more of a writer?
I think he was an actor.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. There's a lot of non-actors in Jaws. A lot of the cast are people from
residents and stuff.
Residents of the area.
The island.
Not Amity.
They're islanders.
Martha's Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard.
So
this book basically is just like a journal of the film.
Yeah, well, I suppose it is. Yeah, it is a journal. But it's brilliant. It's witty. It's insightful.
Yeah.
I just love it. And then this other book I've got here, Nigel Andrews on Jaws, and there's another one as well. Actually, I've got Jaws A to Z somewhere.
Have you?
Yeah.
Is that one?
No, that is a little BFI do these books, modern classics, and it's always.
Is that the one that came after BFG?
Yeah. And it's like they just go into like real Because you was looking through here earlier and reading some of the subtitles under the photos, weren't you?
Yeah.
Do you want to find a few?
They were quite funny. So yeah, you pretty much landed straight on the one that made me laugh the most. It's when Roy Schneider's in the kitchen. They've just got up, and the boys come running in with blood on his finger, saying he's been bitten by a vampire, and Brody's on the phone. And the caption underneath reads, Roy Schneider and his amazing skin. Which, I find that, it's a good observation, because he did generally have really shiny skin, almost hot dog-like.
He's always sunbathing, wasn't he? And didn't they sort of tell him off because he wasn't in the earlier scenes when
wasn't as brown.
It wasn't as brown.
Yeah,
to try and edit him in.
Yeah, do a lot of work with the editing. But yeah, I mean, even in the play, they touched on how much he would sunbathe. Yeah.
But isn't that, we looked it up, didn't we? How he died, and it was actually from skin cancer.
But that's what they said it was. Yeah, so yeah.
I think that play might have sort of hinted at it, and that's what
I think
made
that's
us
why
go and sort of look into it a bit.
Yeah, that's right. It's old Chief Brody there.
Yeah, that's
his
what I
hot
was going to
dog
look
skin.
at. Did you say Schneider, but it's Scheider. There is
is
no
it?
N here.
Scheider?
Yeah. And I was
Is it? Shall I do it again?
Yeah.
And it says Roy Scheider and his amazing skin, almost hot dog like.
But I think for years I thought it was
Schneider,
Schneider,
yeah, I
and
did.
then one day I was like, oh, it's
Because there's a schnauzer, and
No.
you can have a schnitzel, schnauf, out of
Schnarf.
Yeah.
Thundercats.
there's S and N's.
But what I love about that VFI book is that there are so many great just photos of the filming, screenshots.
There are some lovely little lines underneath.
You showed us the Chrissy Watkins.
Oh
one
yeah, the
as
rape
well.
scene. It was up
Yeah,
here.
it says here, the rape, as in Psycho's shower scene, the violence is both implied and overwhelming.
Overwhelming, like rape.
So that's the sort of how deep these analysis go. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's a little bit above my head. Sometimes I think, are you analysing into this too much?
Yeah. Well, that looks like a book that, because I haven't read that, and I wouldn't mind reading that.
I don't.
I'm pretty good with books.
It's pretty heavy. Did you borrow a book off me once?
I did borrow a book off you once, Trevor.
Which
yeah.
was it, Donnie
No,
Brasco?
it was about Goodfellas.
Oh, it was Goodfellas.
Yeah, it was a Goodfellas
Wise
book.
guy.
Yeah, and I think I got 2 pages in.
3, I think.
3 pages. 3
Kept
pages.
saying
in.
I'm on page 3.
Page 3.
For like the next 10 years.
But those 3 pages, I mean, takes it out of you. What a start to a book.
It's one of those strange, almost mythical stories that haunts the edges of Hollywood legend. A young Steven Spielberg, fresh off the thunderous success of Jaws, tries to meet his hero, Alfred Hitchcock, only to be turned away. Not brushed off, not politely declined, flat out refused. The story goes that Spielberg visited the set of Hitchcock's final film in hopes of meeting the master of suspense, a man whose influence ran deep in Spielberg's veins. But when Hitchcock was told Spielberg had arrived, he reportedly waved him off, saying the whole idea made him feel like a whore. Some accounts even say he dismissed Jaws outright, reducing it to a movie about a fish. It's a heartbreaking, almost poetic moment. The student, eager to pay tribute, denied an audience by the master. Maybe it's also fitting, because whether Hitchcock acknowledged it or not, Jaws wasn't just Spielberg's breakout. It was a torch-passing moment, the baton of suspense, of cinematic control, of shaping audience emotion through craft and rhythm had moved on. Jaws was never just a film about a shark. It was about tension, suggestion, dread, things that Hitchcock had built his entire career on. Spielberg absorbed those lessons, and with Jaws he reinterpreted them for a new generation. The mechanical shark didn't work, so he let sound, music and editing do the heavy lifting. He let the audience's imagination fill in the horror. That restraint, that control, that patience, that was pure Hitchcock. But where Hitchcock's terror often took place in elegant townhouses or twisted minds, Spielberg brought it to the beach. He blended the everyday with the unimaginable, and when Jaws exploded at the box office, turning a modest thriller into a cultural earthquake, Hollywood was never the same again. This was the birth of the summer blockbuster. Studios now realise the potential of wide releases, national TV campaigns, merchandising and the power of event cinema. And Spielberg, a young man in his 20s, was at the centre of it all. Not just a director, but a phenomenon. The name that could sell a movie. From that moment forward, Spielberg was no longer the kid who admired Hitchcock. He was now the man, redefining what Hitchcock had pioneered. Suspense wasn't just psychological, it could be thrilling, emotional, sweeping. He brought the audience with him into wonder, awe, fear and triumph. Jaws paved the way for Close Encounters, E.T., Jurassic Park, each of them in their own way, shaped by the same lessons of precision and timing, of holding back to give more, of making audiences feel. And in that, Spielberg became the new Hitchcock, not by mimicry, but by evolution. He took the master's playbook and added scale, heart and spectacle. He made the personal epic, and whether Hitchcock ever wanted to meet him or not, the cinematic bloodline is unmistakable. 50 years later, Jaws still holds its place, not just as one of the most thrilling films ever made, but as the moment the torch was quietly passed, a silent, reluctant handover from one master to the next. And perhaps it's no surprise that Hitchcock refused that meeting. To him, Spielberg might have seemed just like another young kid who thought he knew it all, riding the wave of a fluke success, a shark movie that got lucky at the box office. From the outside, it might have looked like spectacle over substance, all noise and novelty, but had Hitchcock lived long enough to see where that kid ended up, to witness the quiet heartbreak of E.T., the devastating weight of Schindler's List, the sophisticated tension of Munich, or even the swagger and charm of something like Catch Me If You Can, well, would Hitchcock still have turned him away? Even the stumbles like 1941 showed an ambition that refused to shrink. Spielberg didn't just grow as a filmmaker, he matured as a storyteller, an artist, even a historian. And while Hitchcock may never have liked Jaws, you have to wonder if, in the grand view of cinema history, he'd have eventually recognised in Spielberg something more than just a fan with a lucky break, but a true successor, a new master walking a path that he helped lay the foundations for. So, which is your favourite Jaws death?
My favourite Jaws death?
Yeah, in any of the films.
Oh, in any? Wow. I know Jaws 4 is a bit of a bad one, but I do like when it gets her off the back of the banana boat.
You like the banana boat bit?
That always stuck in my head, because I remember standing, we'd gone out as a family for my aunt's 50th to this pub, and in the bar next to it, it was on the telly, and I remember slipping away from the table to go and watch it. Yeah. And I remember that scene sticking in my head. Yeah. I don't know why that stuck in my head.
See, I always thought the death of Sean was good, and I think because when I first watched it, it really shocked me.
Yeah.
And to kill Brody's son, in the opening scenes.
Yeah.
And
was that Michael J. Fox?
No, he looked a bit like him. I think he ended up in something like Doogie Howser MD or something, didn't he?
Okay.
But I thought it was a really shocking death, and now every time I see it, I still quite enjoy that bit.
Yeah,
it was such a promising start to possibly one of the worst films ever.
That was the start of Jaws 4, wasn't it?
That was Jaws 4, yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably the worst one out of them all.
Yeah.
It's weird how those two things have stuck in our head, and it's Jaws 4.
It's strange.
Weird, isn't it?
But it must have been the age we was at, and it was the first time we had a Jaws film released that we could acknowledge, wasn't it? Because definitely. Jaws 3 was just a bit young. I wasn't allowed to go to the cinema to watch that, but I remember my brothers went, and I was like, I love Jaws. What, I remember my brother Robert watching Alien. This is when we was in Slough, so I was like under 4. Yeah. And he just said, "Oh, it's not real," and he gave me this book to look at, and it was like, it was like a science fiction magazine,
right?
And it was like people making the alien costumes. You could see a man dressed in a suit, and then, like in one of these books, was the shark from Jaws. And so from that early age, from then on, films never scared me. Yeah. Because I always knew they was fake.
Yeah.
The ideas of films scared me, like with Nightmare on Elm Street. I remember watching the trailers for that and really getting scared from it, having nightmares about it. And then one day, one of my mates managed to get a copy of like Nightmare on Elm Street 3 or something. And we all got together and watched it, and we was just rolling about laughing.
Yeah.
It just didn't frighten us. It was just ridiculous.
They did get quite silly, didn't they?
Yeah. I didn't used to watch any horror films, but yeah, never really went for the gore. You know, Jaws is basically a horror film.
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
really gory scenes in it, aren't there? You know,
Yeah.
the death of Alex Kittner, just
But
horrendous.
that wasn't how the scene was supposed to be, was
no,
it?
it was edited, wasn't it?
So I have seen a picture of how it should have looked.
Mm.
And that would have been. But I suppose that gave you more because you didn't see the shark
Exactly,
like that
and it
until
was.
it just left that suspense of.
Yeah, not up
Not
until
knowing.
the end, like, or just, you know, the 4th of July is the first time you see the shark come
Yeah.
out of the water, isn't it? And it gets the bloke.
Because you
on the
see
boat.
is that when the boat capsizes and he gets his leg up?
Yeah,
His leg
and
comes
that,
down.
I just love that shot, and I
Yeah.
don't know if the shark looks fake at that point or not, because
No.
I've grown to know that shot so well
Mm.
that it's just brilliant, and I
Yeah.
love the bit where he's coming back up, and then you see the shark going under the water,
Yeah,
side,
yeah,
pulling him down again. Great shots.
it is. Yeah,
And the orca, I just always wanted to build my own orca.
yeah.
One day I'll own a replica orca.
Is it? I've got the Lego orca.
Yes, you have. Yes,
I have. Yeah, got that for my birthday last year.
That's amazing.
It was really good, really fun build.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And now it's sits up. On
I
the-
had hinted at it for my birthday, but didn't get it.
You didn't get
But
it.
I get T-shirts. I've got a Jaws T-shirt.
Yeah.
Now, look, what's it say?
Is it needing a bigger boat since 1975?
Yeah, and I've got another one at home, Amity, 1975,
Nice.
and it's quite retro, sort of 70s looking colours. It's a nice T-shirt. I got
Yeah,
that
yeah.
last week actually for Father's Day.
Get on. I've also got the Monopoly Jaws board game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is very fun, very good.
Jaws
game.
Monopoly.
Jaws Monopoly.
Oh right. So what's it like? All the squares are.
Yeah, so they're all places around the island.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Because I've got the Jaws board game, where it's
Oh, it
Amity
might be.
Island, and then one of you plays as the shark, and then
Ah.
the others have to operate Hooper, Quint, and
No.
Brody. But no one that's ever played this board game. I don't know why we haven't played it, Carl.
No, we
Because
haven't.
we're Jaws friends.
We're Jaws friends. We do Jaws
and
things
I'm always
together.
trying to get my family to play it, and then everyone decides not to. Or sometimes I decide not to, and I take the rule book out, and it's like 8:30 at night, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
it's not.
Oh.
Yeah, the other side of this Jaws board game, you'd flip it over, and then it's the orca from a bird's eye view,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and then the shark attacks it.
Ah, right.
You got your Jaws poster over there, Carl?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a beauty, that one. It's more of a canvas, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
I do.
great artwork, isn't it? Iconic,
Yeah,
iconic artwork.
yeah,
there.
definitely. And the teeth in it, they're so gnarly, aren't they?
Yeah,
Like big knives.
yeah. I do remember the cover of the
Yes.
book was similar, wasn't it? But it paled insignificant. The first cover, I think, was like just a black fin on a white page or something like that. It was.
Okay, yeah.
That was on the hardback edition. I
Edition.
used to have that, and I used to have. I ain't got any copies of the Jaws book now. I don't know how that's happened, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it is shit, really.
Well, the book?
Yeah, have you ever read it?
I
or-
haven't read the book.
No.
Is it a lot different to the film?
A lot different to the film, and at the end of the book, this is the worst. I read the book, and then you turn the page, expecting more writing, and there's nothing there. And you're like, what? And you go back, and you think, what did I just read? And I think the shark just died.
I didn't say.
Just swims up to Brody and then just like dies at the last minute.
Yeah.
It couldn't really make sense. It was a bit of a naff ending.
Right.
So I think Spielberg blowing up a gas tank in its mouth
Yeah.
is a better cinematic ending.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if it's.
Even
Which is-
even when he pulled the wrong rope.
What about the what is your favourite Jaws ending? How they kill Jaws?
Oh, out of the films?
Yeah,
Well, that's a tough one. I mean, two are blown up, aren't they? 1 and 3.
yeah,
They're blown up. 2's electrocuted.
yeah.
And 4 gets harpooned on the end of a boat.
On the end of a boat, yes, and there's another edited version where it doesn't make as much sense as that.
Oh, what's the other edited?
And it's like all flashbacks to Brody on the boat, and it's like almost like the shark blows up itself. It's a really weird edit.
Yeah.
Um,
1's so iconic, isn't it? Smile, you with the line.
yeah,
You don't really get that with the others.
no.
I mean, 4, he's pressing that weird button that electric shocks him.
Oh, it gives it like a.
Gives it that electric shock,
Yeah.
doesn't he? It makes it jump up in the air.
And it roars.
Obviously, when Bruce blows up in 1 and he's slumping down to the bottom of the ocean. And there's a roar there, isn't there? Or
like a growl.
Yeah. Isn't that taken from
it's
a sample from another?
the T-Rex from the
Lost
World.
World.
Yeah. But that's what I don't get, because he made that years later. So how could he have used that song?
Yeah, isn't it?
It's a joke, of course.
Yeah.
There you go. Jurassic Park was just Jaws again, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In a different setting.
Well, yeah, with scales and legs, I suppose.
Yeah.
Are there any other like iconic sounds or noises from the Jaws film that you like or have stuck in your head?
I know there's one that you love, isn't there, Carl?
There's one that always sticks in my head, and it's when they're all coming to the island and they're coming off the big ferry.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to the arcade game and he's playing the shoot the shark.
Yeah.
And he's going and then he shoots the shark and it wobbles off. He goes. I love that noise. That's up there. Yeah,
Half over the beach.
that sound's always stuck with me.
There's that line as well. He made me do it. He told me to.
Yeah.
He made me do it. He told me to do it.
There's just lots of little lines throughout Jaws.
Yeah.
Better catch something. This is my wife's holiday roast.
Come and get it.
We better catch something. This is my wife's holiday roast. Come and get it.
He's a smart big fish. He's gone under the boat.
He's gone under. He's gone under the boat. I think he's gone under the boat. Yeah, it's too easy. He's a smart big fish. He's gone under the boat.
More random the line, the better, wasn't it?
Definitely.
But 24 hours is like 3 weeks.
Are you going to close the beaches?
Yes, we are.
Only 24 hours.
I didn't agree to that.
Only 24 hours.
And the little man that's with Quint with the
just
little
follows
hat,
him
the little
around.
hard hat.
I always used to think, why isn't he going on the boat?
Yeah.
I bet he would like to go.
Yeah. He doesn't say anything, does he? He just
No,
follows
it just
him.
follo's him around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Just
his little handbag. There's a
waiting for
deleted
eyes.
scene. Have you ever watched any of the deleted scenes on
No.
the DVD?
No.
But there's a scene where Quint goes in for some piano wire for the music shop for
Right.
his fishing. And there's a little boy there playing a clarinet or something, and then Quint just starts singing the song and then gets louder and louder until he's just shouting in this boy's face. And then the boy just sort of, I think he runs off at the end or something.
Oh, lovely.
It's just a very strange scene.
I wonder
And I
why
think
they
there was
cut
meant
that.
to be another scene where he was walking out of the cinema watching Moby Dick,
Right.
which is all a bit on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Captain Ahab.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the film that they come out with, there's not a moment that I think, oh, they should have had this there, or I wish they went into that more, or this bit's a bit boring. You know, it goes on. It's just perfect, isn't it? It's just,
Well, yeah.
it's just a great film.
Every time you watch it, I still notice little things now and again in it that you just don't notice before.
I think there's 3 films for me that are like this. It's possibly more. There probably is hundreds, really, but the 3 that I always think of that I just think are perfect films from start to finish is Jaws, Back to the Future, and The Godfather. Those 3 films. There's nothing to change, nothing to slow it down.
Yeah.
You know, like with other films like Raiders of the Lost Ark, I really enjoy, but there's a few bits in there where I'm like, this goes on a bit, or I don't know, I'm not, you know.
Yeah.
Every other film, there's always something that's not quite right, but those 3 films, I don't think they could have made any better if they tried.
If I agree with the 3, and if I could add a 4th, it would be Rita, Sue and Bob too. That film is perfect for me from start to finish.
Yeah,
it ticks all the boxes. So many one-line like sayings in it, and yeah, that's a great film.
So, who's your favourite extra in the background in Jaws?
I do like Harry with his hat when he comes out the water.
Yeah.
With his saggy boobs.
We know all about you, Chief. You don't go in the water at all, do you? Some bad hat, Harry.
That's some bad hat, Harry. And he's also on the panel when they're saying they're going to shut the beaches for 24 hours. He's sat at the end there.
Yeah.
So he's
quite important. He's in the second
one
as well, isn't he? I think.
Oh,
I think he's in the panel in the second one as well. Back in the when they're like questioning.
Oh, is that when he goes? Oh, it's a shadow on the lens or something like that, or it's seaweed.
Yeah,
and they're trying
I think he's in that scene as well, isn't he?
Oh, possibly.
I seem to remember.
Possibly, because he's quite a big figure to have been on the panel in the first one. You'd think he'd been on the panel in the second one, definitely. And the guy with the bike shop who has his picket fence karate chops, he looks very much like him.
Yeah.
He's a very likeable old man.
Yeah.
Hey, look at the kids kissing my fence. 8 and 9 year old. Hey, glasses, yeah? Glasses. Hey, look at this. They did it with that big hand. Oh, I promise.
I
like the harbour master. You know that.
Tough,
that tough and ruthless. Oh no, sorry, rough and toothless old man.
When he walks out the door, he's like, and he just stands there.
He's got a pipe.
Yeah. And then he grins, doesn't he?
So then Jen Herder and Charlie sat there trying to catch their breath and figure out how to tell Charlie's wife what happened to her freezer full of meat.
That's not funny. That's not funny at all.
Hendrix.
Let
Polly do the printing.
Yeah.
Beach is closed. No swimming. By order of the Amity PD. Let Polly do the printing.
What's the matter with my thing?
Let Polly do the printing.
These are your men, aren't they? They're supposed to he's got to go and look.
Connecticut, Rhode Island,
New Jersey.
What are you doing out there? These are your people. Go and talk to them.
Those aren't my people. They're from all over the place. Do you see all the license plates out in the parking lot? Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey. I'm all by myself out there.
I'm Brody.
You can tell he's from New York, can't
you? Who are you?
Matt Hooper. I'm from the Oceanographic Institute.
Oh, for Christ's sakes, you're the guy we called. I'm Brody.
Oh, I'm very glad to meet you.
Yeah, I'm glad to meet you, too.
There's another iconic noise in the second one, when the orca gets washed up on the beach, and the woman's measuring it with Chief Brody, and she's really snooty, the woman measuring it. She got a bit above her station, I didn't quite like her in that.
Snooty as well.
Yeah, and then when she was measuring it, her tape measure made the clink, clink, clink.
I never noticed that noise.
Comes out.
Tip of the snout, please. Length, 7.5 meters.
7.5 meters.
What was your favourite Jaws ending then?
My favourite Jaws ending, it was not free. Certainly not free.
No.
When it comes out, it's just flat and it crashes into the thing. But
yeah.
I don't know. It I used to think that shark is massive if he's in that mouth. And you just see his arm coming out, doesn't it? And it was almost too big, wasn't it?
It was a bit,
but then it looked bigger when it was from the distance. I don't know. There was something about the perspective which was all wrong in that film, wasn't it?
And he smiled in the third one as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
When they're out in the meal underwater and he's by the glass.
But I did used to like the ending of Jaws 2 to see it electrocute. You could just, I don't know. Jaws 2 was very much a slasher film, wasn't it? Like all teenagers going out and
getting their sparrow tits out.
Amity is a summer town. We need summer dollars. If the people can't swim here, they'll be glad to swim at the beaches of Cape Cod, the Hamptons, Long Island.
When people talk about the villain in Jaws, the obvious answer is the shark. But let's be honest, the real menace, the true danger to Amity Island, wears a striped anchor-patterned blazer and grins like a man who just sold you a lemon.
A summer girl goes swimming. Swims out a little far. She tires. Fishing boat comes along.
It's happened before.
Mayor Larry Vaughn, brought vividly to life by Murray Hamilton, isn't just an obstacle, he's a personification of willful ignorance and civic vanity. The kind of character who, with every oily line, reflects the rot beneath the surface of small-town politics. He's the villain we love to hate, and Hamilton is amazing in the role.
Amity, as you know, means friendship.
What's fascinating is how Vaughn evolved from the source material. In Peter Benchley's novel, he's caught up in a weak mafia subplot, a narrative detour that Spielberg wisely dropped. Stripping away that unnecessary layer, the film version of Vaughn becomes sharper, with more of a cultural resonance. A man more concerned with summer dollars than safety, public perception over personal responsibility. He isn't a criminal, he's worse, he's plausible.
Sick vandalism.
When the town's billboard is defaced, that iconic image of the swimmer now stalked by a crude cartoon shark and a biting caption, it's a moment that perfectly illustrates the split between reason and denial. Hooper sees it for what it is, the truth, scrawled in spray paint, an act of frustrated honesty from a community that knows that something is wrong.
Love to prove that, wouldn't you? Get your name into the National Geographic.
But Vaughn, he doesn't see fear or warning. He sees bad publicity, and he wraps his outrage in a cloak of conservative civic duty, condemning the vandalism not as a cry for help, but as a disgrace to the town's image that cries for swift punishment.
Now, I want those little paint-happy bastards caught and hung up by their Buster Browns.
It's a small scene, but it captures the essence of his character, always more concerned with optics than outcomes. And this is where his character speaks so clearly of the times. Released in 1975, Jaws landed just after the Watergate scandal, a period of deep public mistrust in authority. Vaughn embodies exactly that. He isn't twirling a moustache or plotting behind closed doors. He's smiling in public, gaslighting the concerned, denying the obvious. And in doing so, he becomes a template, an archetype for a whole wave of similar bureaucratic villains in film.
I'm pleased and happy to repeat the news that we have in fact caught and killed a large predator that supposedly injured some bathers.
Think of Paul Reiser in Aliens, who insist on bringing back the xenomorphs for profit. Or the smug town officials in Tremors, the Blob remake, or even Cloverfield's shadowy authorities. The "we can't afford to panic the public" trope starts here with Vaughn, a man more dangerous than the shark because he has a vote, a podium and a chamber of commerce. In many ways, Mayor Vaughn's DNA can be traced through to other Spielberg projects, most notably John Hammond in Jurassic Park. In Spielberg's dinosaur film, Hammond is a softened grandfatherly figure who eventually sees the errors of his ways and helps save the day. But in Michael Crichton's original novel, Hammond is far closer to Vaughn, stubborn, blinded by ambition and ultimately deserving of the grim fate that awaits him. Vaughn never quite gets that comeuppance in Jaws, but the parallels are there. Both are men in denial, placing profit and perception above public safety. It's almost as if Spielberg, 2 decades later, gave us a gentler redo, a watered-down Vaughn with a conscience, offering a more redemptive arc where once there was only smarm and stubbornness. And when he returns in Jaws 2, well, let's just say the tides have gone out. His character's still treading stagnant political water, reduced to repeating old beats without the same cultural weight. But even so, Hamilton gives him just enough smarm to keep things watchable, like a used car salesman who won't leave until you've shaken his hand, even if your engine's already on fire. Still, we have to give credit where it's due. Vaughn has some absolute gems of dialogue, the kind that lingers.
You yell barracuda. Everybody says, huh? What? You yell shark. We've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
It's not just a line, it's a warning. And Hamilton delivers it with such slickness, such sun-soaked denial that you believe this man could actually exist, probably does exist, in every boardroom where money talks louder than safety. So yes, there's the shark, but it's the mayor who truly lets it feed. And that might be Jaws' most chilling truth.
This is not the time or the place to perform some kind of a half-assed autopsy on a fish. I am not going to stand here and see that thing cut open and see that little Kentner boy spill out all over the dock.
I'm just going to look up a Jaws quiz and see how we got on.
Yeah.
Can you ace this Jaws quiz? Okay?
Okay.
Jaws trivia. What's the name of the island where Jaws takes place? Oh.
Martha's Vineyard.
No, in the film.
Oh. Amity Island.
Amity Island, yeah. Correct. Much of the filming was done on Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. When Hooper cuts open the shark, what surprising object does he find?
He finds a car number plate.
A license plate, yes.
Yeah.
The plate is
from Arizona.
Louisiana.
Louisiana,
Yeah.
come up in the Gulf Stream.
That's it, suggesting that the shark came up from the Gulf. What fear does Chief Brody have?
Fear of drowning.
Yeah, water.
Water, drowning.
He explains the root of his fear very concisely. Drowning is the answer, Carl, so well done. What do the two towny men throw off the pier to attract the shark?
Oh, his wife's holiday roast.
A roast.
Yeah.
It's implausible that this draws the shark, as sharks are drawn by irregular and vigorous splashing. How does Quint get everyone's attention at the town meeting?
He gets his cock out.
Again.
Scratches his nail down the blackboard.
Of course he does. Of course he does. Given chont for drink, it says. Showing up staggering would have worked too. That was not a fact, that was just a crap joke. What distracts the townspeople from seeing the shark enter the pond? What happens?
Oh, it's the two boys with the fake
A couple of kids play a prank using a fake dorsal fin.
Yeah, you made me do it.
Once in the pond, the shark kills a boater. Why? I heard of a good fact as well. I've read a good story, and it was the lady who plays Alex Kittner's mum. She went into a restaurant and they had on the menu Alex Kittner burgers.
Oh,
and she's like, what? And she ordered one and then said, I'm Alex Kittner's mother out of Jaws. And they're like, oh, wait there. And then they ran off and they went and got the owner and he came out and he was Alex Kittner. And they'd never seen each other since the filming.
No way.
So yeah, I think he gave her the meal that night for free.
Well, you'd hope so.
But yeah, lovely story.
She did let him go back in the water with prune fingers.
Yeah, I'd have been furious.
Yeah, I would have made her pay for that.
Yeah. Anyway, why is Brody's son Michael admitted to the hospital?
Because he gets shocked, but he goes into shock because the shark is near him.
After he sees the shark kill a man. What kind of shark do the local fishermen catch that is believed to be a killer?
It's a tiger shark.
A what? Hooper is immediately sceptical because of the animal's smaller bite radius.
Yeah. Why did you stick your head in and find out?
How does Brody kill the shark? Oh, I should be giving you the answers, shouldn't I? I'm going to give you them on this one. He draws it into the shallow waters and drowns it.
Mm.
He drives a shard of broken cage deep into its brain.
Right.
He jumps into the water and slits its throat with a hacksaw blade.
That one.
Yeah. He jams a compressed air tank into its mouth and blows it up by shooting at it.
Well, it's that one, yeah.
It is that one.
But they were quite well thought out.
Well, he draws it into the shallow. Let's see what happens if I click a wrong answer.
That's what they were trying to do, but the boat broke.
And do you know now I've clicked the wrong answer?
You've got...
We might not, I don't know, is it going to at the end tell us how good we are? It's going, oh God, you're such a...
and you're doing a chat about
it. And you call yourself an expert, you're doing a chat, and you've got 9 out of 10 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
How does Quint die? It says he survives.
Hey?
That's one of the options.
Oh.
He slides down the swamped deck into the shark's mouth.
Yeah.
The broken mast falls on his head and he drowns while he's unconscious. So, falls overboard and the shark gets him. That's not the answer though, is it?
No.
Slides down the swamp deck.
Yeah.
Correct. Quint's death with the shark jumping halfway up onto the deck is a little hard to swallow. Sorry. Why is Hooper unable to shoot the shark from the safety of the cage?
He knocks the spear out of his hand.
Yeah, he drops the gun.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought it was more of like he was going to jab it. It's more of a needle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't a gun, was it?
No.
Yeah, that wasn't factually correct, the question I find.
Oh, got a visitor here. Girl's dog.
Oh, Maddie, out. Go on, Matt. Out you go.
And his wife bringing up some coffees, refreshments.
Cheers, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Did you want to pause it or anything?
Should we have a pause? There are certain images from Jaws that feel baked into our cultural DNA, moments so potent that they've outlived the film itself to become something closer to shared memory. The contorted face of Chrissy Watkins as she's yanked violently in every direction. The Hitchcockian reverse zoom dolly on Brody's face as realisation dawns. The deep, steady thrum of those two notes building slowly into panic. Ben Gardner's head, the shark lunging from the water as Brody casually tosses out the chum. Jaws isn't just a film, and for Generation X, it's practically hardwired. But why did this particular film connect so strongly with the children of the 70s and 80s, and how is it that we're still carrying it today? For those of us who grew up in the shadow of its original release, Jaws wasn't just a scary movie, it was the scary movie. Before horror franchises rolled out their masked slashers and gory gimmicks, this was the one that crept under your skin and waited in the water. It was primal and unseen, and because it somehow slipped past the censors with a PG rating, it became not just terrifying, but accessible. It was a rite of passage. Even more fascinating is how it quickly embedded itself into the cultural language. The opening shot of Airplane, pure parody, dorsal fin and all. Spielberg himself couldn't resist sending it up in 1941, which begins with a beach scene lifted almost beat for beat from Jaws, only to undercut it in absurd comic fashion. The reference to Jaws was universal, and it stayed relevant for decades. Despite the sequels and a flood of knockoffs, there's no other shark film that's ever struck the same chord, because Jaws was never just about the shark. It was about dread, silence, anticipation. It was about watching the institutions we trust buckle under pressure. It was about ordinary men forced to face the extraordinary. But is that what we saw as kids? No. We saw a rampaging sea monster terrorising a sleepy beach town. But then, over time, with every rewatch, we did start to notice the layers. Brody wasn't just the chief of police, he was a city man trying to adapt to a closed-off island community. Hooper's enthusiasm marked a deeper class tension with Quint. Mayor Vaughn's denial wasn't just dumb politics, it was a portrait of self-interest, dressed as civic duty. And unlike a certain other cinematic phenomenon from the same era, Jaws didn't give us the action figures. We didn't have toys to reenact our favourite scenes, so we improvised, makeshift sharks, stand-in orcas. We were reciting the lines by heart. We played Jaws because we loved it, not because it was merchandised. And ironically now, nearly 50 years on, Jaws merchandise is bigger than ever. T-shirts, Lego sets, Funko Pops, high-end models, replicas. The very things we were once denied are now overflowing on shelves. It's no accident. The generation who wore out their VHS copies in the 80s are now the biggest toy-buying demographic in the world. Generation X is driving the collector's market, fueling an industry built on nostalgia and reverence. Because Jaws isn't just a movie we watched, it's one that we absorbed into our references, our humour, our fears and our toys. It never really left the water, and maybe that's the trick. The film that once terrified us as children now comforts us as adults, a shared generational memory with teeth. Okay, so we're back. Oh, you're over here, microphone's over here, talking into the laptop. So we're back. We've had a little bit of a break, a bit of coffee, chat with Jem. We didn't really know, did we?
No,
we just played the podcast.
Just
listen to the podcast.
Yeah, it's funny hearing your own voice.
It is weird.
Yeah.
I get used to it now. Yeah, we was going back over that, and we listened to you saying about you watched Jaws 3 in 3D, and at the time I didn't think to ask.
Yeah.
You know, when was that?
Oh yeah, it was. I've got photos of it. It was either my 7th or 8th birthday, and there's pictures of all of us. It's pretty much like my class from school, just sat round the telly watching Jaws 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would have been 86, 87, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know when it was released.
Back on, re-released onto video, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it was on VHS. Yeah. We're all sat around watching it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I also remembered when we was listening to the bit where I'm talking about the shark, where we used to play in the garden with a boat, and how our garden was designed exactly for Jaws. And then I remembered that our school was as well. In our playground we had 2 classrooms that came out, but there was raised doors, and then there's like a balcony, and then it come down, and the balcony was only sort of like, you know, about 1.5 feet high. It wasn't a giant thing. but the two railings dipped down and then they met in the middle, and it was just like the Orca. And we used to use the little low platform where we was getting mauled as Quint. One of us would always have to be Quint so we could get eaten by the shark.
You get raped by the shark. Yeah. Is yours your favourite film?
It is, yeah. It's the one that just, there's a connection with that film. There's something warming when you watch it. It's just, I feel connected to it. I don't know, it's there's no other film that happens with. Every other film I enjoy, but with Jaws there's something that's always draws me to it, and I'm always drawn to the water.
Yeah.
The ocean. Years ago, I've just released them actually on the channel, but I done a collection of all my favourite films, which Donna, I had to rate like hundreds of films into a spreadsheet. It then selected like from my answers to all the different categories, like it compiled like them in order, like that was the best. And Jaws just came out just behind Goodfellas. So Goodfellas was actually number one, or was it? But I was like, nah, it's got to be Jaws.
Yeah.
Jaws didn't get that close. I must have been marking it modestly or something, you know. But Jaws is number one, so I put it back at the top. So yeah, it is my favourite film. And you?
Jaws definitely, and it's very closely followed by Platoon.
That's another great.
I love that film.
Yeah. Any other like Jaws sort of spin-off films that you've enjoyed over the years?
Well, like shark related.
Yeah.
Deep Blue wasn't too bad. It was a bit in places.
I can never finish it anymore. I can never even start it really.
No. Finding Nemo. There's some good sharks in that one.
Yeah.
He's Bruce. He was called Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had an Austrian accent. G'day, mate. Australian.
I watched the film and it was. I think it's been credited as Jaws 5 in certain countries. Right. It's allowed to be called that. But it's basically a Jaws rip-off. I can't remember what the title of it was when I found it. I found it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
And it was free, understandably. And it was basically just all 3 Jaws films in one film on a really low budget.
Yeah.
Stealing shots from Jaws.
Oh, really?
It's just like, that was unbelievable. It was brilliant though.
Oh, right.
And just scenes from Jaws. Every scene was from a Jaws film.
No,
but just put in a different
into one film. I've never heard of that.
But I think there was some boobs in it as well.
Oh,
because
yeah.
It was foreign.
Yeah,
it was Spanish or something, you know.
Yeah. Le Shark.
It was American actors, but they'd filmed it abroad under like foreign investors. It was basically just a Jaws rip-off. If they'd have released it in America, I suppose they'd be facing a few lawsuits. I don't know. But it was really worth watching, and I was going to do an episode on it one day. Yeah. Maybe I'll get you round to watch it and we'll talk about it.
I've never watched The Meg or.
I started to watch The Meg, but I can't watch any film with Jason Statham. No. I can't bring myself to watch it.
No, I haven't watched them. They don't really appeal to me. I don't think you can top Jaws.
But yeah, Carl, it's been brilliant. It's been good fun talking about Jaws, and I hope you lot have enjoyed it. Just a bit of bands, wasn't it?
Just a bit of chat,
just
wasn't it?
Chat. Haven't done that for a long time on this episode, on this podcast. It's all been me on my own.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish listeners.
Yes, certainly Spanish listeners. With your Jaws vibes.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.